Hello, YouTube. All right, this is Mahadeva, the Thunder Wizard, aka Thanos, aka Arnold swears he's bigger. And so today I want to talk to you about my thoughts concerning in my experience, the most powerful way to chant the runes. And I also want to talk to you about what I believe the real purpose of rune magic is, rune galder, working with runes, chanting with runes. So in order to do that, we really need to understand who Odin is, Woden. Because Odin is the deity who is responsible in the mythology of discovering and sharing the runes with humankind. Now, to my knowledge, there isn't a myth where Odin gives the runes to humans, but that is insinuated in the mythology because he's the one who discovers them. When he sacrifices himself on the world tree, the tree of knowledge, the tree of life, the runes appear to him. Screaming, he takes them up. He takes them up. So we need to understand who Odin is. A lot of things going through my mind at the same time, so sometimes it's hard for me to narrow my thoughts down. Before I forget, I need to say that Woden has a very special relationship with the planet Mercury and with the air element and the north direction. I try very hard to be very specific with my words. I said he has a very special relationship. Because in times past I have said things like Odin is the planet Mercury, or Odin's element is the air element. And every time I've said that, I can feel in my spirit, I can feel Odin say, hang on, you don't get to classify me, pigeonhole me. Because he's the main result of his achievement is that he is expansive and he is everywhere and everything. He is the All Father. He's everywhere. And if we attribute that to his accomplishment in the mythology, then that is something he achieved. We need to understand that Woden, is a god of the process of transformation. He is a deity, an entity, a being who embodies the process of transformation. You have to understand this if you're going to understand the runes. Now, if you're coming onto this hoping that I'm going to get real fancy and talk about bind runes and things like that, I'm not going to do that. Because I don't teach stuff that I don't feel like I have a mastery in. And I mean, to be honest with you, the runes have such a powerful impact on me that, if you've noticed lately for years, I haven't done any videos on any specific rune. If you go here to thunderwizard.com, I don't have the direct link here, but go to thunderwizard.com, and if you subscribe at the lowest level, I go into depth for hours. I mean, I think maybe hundreds of hours on each of the runes. And when I did that, I mean, I went through that. I was uploading videos, multiple videos on a weekly basis. And I was walking through those runes and holy crap, my whole life was just being, it was crazy. The nuclear transformation that was going on with me. And so I have such a respect for the runes, I don't mess with them. Until I have a very specific reason to chant the runes or to talk about the runes, I leave them be. They're not candy. They are agents of transformation. So for me, bind runes are a big deal. You must have, well, I think maybe I'm different. Maybe I'm too sensitive. Maybe I'm not advanced enough. Maybe there are people out there that are more advanced than I am that can handle it. Some people can't handle their liquor. Maybe I can't handle my rune kundalini power. Maybe I can't handle it. So if I talk about them, they come into my life, and even supposedly the beneficent ones. So I'm sure as heck not going to talk about bind runes in a cavalier way. And I think a lot of rune teachers are very cavalier about the runes. I think a lot of rune teachers want to look good, and they want to sound good, and they want to try. I think we look at some of the historical information about runes and bind runes and what our ancestors did, and I think there are people out there that want to sound good, and they want to be teachers, so they come up with things off the top of their head to try to explain things. I can't get away with that. I can only teach what I intuitively really know to be true and or have experienced or have some mastery in. There's no such thing as a true master of anything. When we're talking about things like runes, there is nobody out there who's a true master. We might give somebody that name, or somebody might allow themselves to be called that, but if they're a true rune practitioner, they have any mastery in it, they will say, this is infinite. You can't master this stuff. So this is Odin. Odin did master them. And I hear him say he's still learning. But if there is anybody who can say that they've mastered runes, it would be Woden. And from my intuition, I just heard him sort of dance around that. Even he won't say that. Woden, he who consists of the ecstasy of infinite self-awareness. Woden is the only deity who has the ability to go into all of the 9 worlds unscathed. He is in all 9 worlds simultaneously. We could even say that this is a yantra of Odin. What you may not know is that yantras, mandalas, the sacred, this is a mandala. This is a yantra. This is, in the Vedic, this is called an Ashtanga yantra, which means 8-limbed yantra. And before the Middle Ages, in India, before the Middle Ages, there weren't idols to the gods. You didn't have anthropomorphic representations of the Vedic gods. You had yantras. So you had somebody who would draw a symbol like this, similar to this, and worship it. Because the yantra acted as a transporter pad for the deity. So this diagram is a transporter pad. This is one for I'm going to say it, one for Odin. I'm not saying that from any, written knowledge or anything like that. That just came to me as I'm sitting here. Because Odin exists simultaneously in all 9 worlds, and this has all 9 worlds in it. And Woden has a special relationship to human beings, because human beings live in Midgard, which is the center, the fortress, the middle fortress. There are only 2 fortresses in the 9 worlds of the Norse world tree. There is the fortress of the celestial gods, which is Osjard. Os means celestial deity. Jard, guard, means fortress, guard. your yard, Y-A-R-D. That comes from an old understanding of having your own fortress around your home. You have your back fortress. You know, they're fences. Keep things in, keep things out. And so you have the Os yard, the fortress of the celestial deities. And then you have Mid-yard, Midgard, the middle fortress, the fortress that human beings live in, because all of the energy from all of the other 8 worlds coming in on it would be too much for the human race. We wouldn't be able to handle it. Just like the Earth has an electromagnetic field and has an atmosphere that protects it from, from things coming into it. You know, when you see a shooting star, that's some kind of a heavenly body, a meteorite, some kind of rock or ice or something is shooting towards the Earth, and the atmosphere burns it up. The dust from that still comes down and becomes the soil and brings all kinds of things to the soil and brings all kinds of things to us. But it protects us. This is Middle Earth, Midgard. Odin is in the center because he is receiving all of the information from the 8 worlds, and he lives in the 9th as well. I've talked about why he represents the North. I won't get into that. I don't want to take up all your time about that because we're here to talk about the runes. The point I'm trying to make is that Odin is everywhere, is everything. And in order for that to happen, he has to be without limitation of identity. And so when he sacrificed himself to himself on the tree of knowledge, on the tree on the world tree, on the tree of life, what ended up happening is that he obliterated his small self. All he is now is big self, which is, if you understand that, if I say this to a Vedic Hindu, they know exactly what I'm talking about. If I say it to somebody that's just come out of Christianity, they might not know what I mean by that. They may have a dualistic Abrahamic interpretation of that. Our pre-Christian ancestors would have understood that. Sacrificed himself to himself. Small s to big S. Because you are everything. And one of the greatest stories for this is one that about Dr. Hugh Lin, the master shaman of the Huna tradition. And he was able to heal very, very extremely insane people that were hopeless, that they had to chain to walls and things like that. He was able to heal them by healing his own judgment of them within himself. He'd get he wouldn't meet with them personally, but he'd get their file, he'd look at the file. Every time he'd read about something that the person did, threw feces at the wall or bit somebody's ear off or whatever it was, he would have a reaction to that, and then he would heal that. And he would see that person as being perfect and being healthy. Not because of the other person, but because he didn't want to have any imperfection within himself, because he understands that his self is the big self, that there is no difference between the two. Woden mastered this. He obliterated his small self to his big self. I can hear people as I say that thinking that ego is bad and I have to crush my ego. No, that's not what I'm saying. In fact, I'm saying the opposite. That when you relax into your true self, your true selfishness, when you seek out your own greatest happiness and joy and fulfillment in total awareness and in full fearlessness, you merge with the unity of all things, which means all people. There is no way that you can seek after your own empowerment and hurt somebody else. The only way that you hurt somebody else is if you're seeking to isolate yourself out of unconscious fear. And I'm not trying to try and get you to be perfect. I'm not perfect yet. So I'm not expecting you to be. I'm just telling you this is the deal. If I had reached the state of Odin, I would not be in this physical meat bag here. So that's okay. It's okay for us to go through this process. Odin is a god of the process of self-awareness. Because Odin went through that process. I haven't even started talking about the runes yet. Because you can't understand the runes if you don't understand Woden. And how he came about them. So the runes appeared to him when he sacrificed himself to himself on the tree of knowledge. The tree of knowledge is nothing more than the spinal column. In the spinal column you have the Kundalini. Odin carries a Shakti, a spear. The Vedic word for spear is Shakti. Shakti means Kundalini, means feminine power, means the identity, the human identity. The word Shakti comes from the same root as shake. It means shaking. So Odin holds a spear. Ancient warriors all over the world, when they lined up to fight, they would stand with their spears and they would shake their spears, and the spear points would cut through the air and make a sound. And when everybody was doing it, the whole army was doing it, it would make this. All of this represents the spinal column being activated as Kundalini is rising up the spine. Kundalini is nothing more than human psychological awareness, working through the chakras, which are regions of maturity of self-awareness. What does that say about the runes? It means that after Woden achieved his full Shakti Kundalini awakening of the chakras and the spear shaking within him, obliterating his limited self, he screamed, and as he was screaming from the intensity of that experience, he took up the runes. I'm getting all kinds of shivers. It means I'm on the right track. The runes means mysteries. It also means whisper. Maybe you didn't know that. Rune means whisper. What do you do when you whisper? You tell a secret. Hey, I have a secret to tell you. This is the method of chanting. This is Odin's secret method of chanting the runes. If anybody thinks that they know the runes and they scream the runes from the top of their lungs, well, it's going to do something. But they don't understand what the runes are. The runes are to be chanted in between the worlds. You can chant them out loud. You can chant them silently. But there's a method where you actually chant with the breath, and breath is used. No sound comes out. It cuts through. The Chinese word for the air element is metal. It means the same thing. Wood, metal, fire, water, earth. Ether, air, fire, water, earth. It's the same thing. Air is metal. Air cuts. When you know this technique to chant the runes, you cut through the worlds. You slice in between them. This is the power of the runes. The runes themselves are the 24 base elements within the universe. I'm using the elements in a different word. The base fire Kundalini elements of creation of Shakti in the universe. That transforms your being. The true purpose of chanting the runes is to transform your being to become like Woden. To have your small self become obliterated and become one with the big self. So here's the ironic thing. The Kundalini, again, people do not know what Kundalini is. Kundalini is not life force energy. Kundalini is not liberation from this world. It is a factor in it. Kundalini, when Kundalini is fully awakened, you become complete mind, human. In order to become fully human, you must activate the Kundalini and activate all of the chakras. Once you've done that, you reach the crown chakra, then it turns around and goes back down to the root and roots you, and now you are a complete human. That's not enlightenment. It's not escape from this world. It is becoming fully engrossed in this world on a complete spiritual, psychological level. Then you live out your orlog, your dharma, your destiny as a human. It is very important you understand, if you are here and you have incarnated, it is because you have a destiny to be a human. It is not a punishment. It's very hard for me to have any kind of patience for people who are victims. You know, I'm trying to find an example. You know, it's like being out, I'm a surfer, it's like being out in the waves and you're paddling on a surfboard, which is this amazing vehicle that allows you to do these amazing things on these moving waves of water. Without one, you kind of just swim around and, you know, maybe you can body surf a little bit, but you can't get a whole lot done. You know, you can't do much. But if you have a surfboard, you have a tool that will give you the ability to do all kinds of things with this energy and this water that, you know, looks unbelievable. You are a human being. You have this human body, this human brain, this human spinal column, these 7 chakras, and you have your path in this life that you have been given. It is a surfboard. Grab onto it. Start using it. Start paddling it. You know, trying to escape your life is like being out in beautiful waves and pushing your surfboard away and trying to swim, dog paddle in the water. It's a waste of energy. You've got this tool that you can use to achieve all kinds of amazing things. It's a privilege to be a human. Until you understand that, you will be trapped in the cycle of pain and rebirth in all kinds of horrible ways. Once you go, oh, I'm here for a reason. I'm here to accomplish something. All of these challenges are things that I am here to engage with and use my discipline and use my strength to die in battle towards my enlightenment. I'm here for that challenge. I'm here to experience that challenge. If you don't embrace that, you will be miserable, and you will be miserable next time. You don't want to be miserable in the next life? Do the work in this life. You know, live through the challenge of having all your feelings and acting consciously. Again, let me say to you my definition of enlightenment. Enlightenment doesn't mean to be free of all of your human failings and challenging. No. Enlightenment is becoming conscious of all of your feelings, positive and negative, happy and unhappy, pleasant and unpleasant. And if you're like me, maybe you're not, but if you're like me, you are filled with all kinds of feelings all the time. I have all kinds of challenging feelings, things that maybe you haven't even been able to handle. If I were to give them to you, I don't know if you could handle them. Maybe you could, maybe you wouldn't. I don't know. I'm not you, but I can tell you that I have all kinds of feelings. But I embrace them all. I embrace them all, and I seek to be conscious, aware of them all. When you have conscious awareness of all of your feelings, and then you have the consciousness to take constructive action in spite of those negative feelings, then you can say you are enlightened. And only then. And I haven't met a whole lot of people who can do that. And everybody who says they're enlightened, what I find out is that they're actually quite passive aggressive. They're full of a lot of anger and they refuse to go there. I'm not going to lower myself to that level. And then they can't handle any real feelings. You know, if I'm in a relationship with somebody, with a woman, and if she is angry at me, if she can come to me in consciousness and say, I'm feeling really angry with you right now, I will hug her because I will be so grateful that I'm with somebody who is conscious of their emotions. And I will sit down and I'll say, tell me what I did. Now, maybe I did something, maybe it's all her stuff. Who knows? What a great way to figure it out. If she comes at me and starts yelling at me and pointing fingers at me and calling me names, then the Thunder Wizard is going, the retrograde Jupiter in the 8th house is going to come out to play. I'm the last person you want to pick a fight with. But if you come to me with your feelings, no matter what they are, it's just that you have them and you're aware of them, that's such a turn on for me. And my students, the same thing. If they can consciously verbalize their feelings, if they call me on the for us, say, hey, Mahadeva, I have to tell you, I'm angry with you. You are? Good for you. I want to hear it. Not that I need you to be angry, but that you know what your feelings are and that you're consciously acting. Now, when you say, I'm angry with you, and here's why, you are aware that maybe you need a change in perspective. Maybe not. You're trusting me to be able to go, wow, is this coming from something I did or is this coming from them? If it's coming from me, I will own it. Communication is a really wonderful thing. This is Kundalini. This is Kundalini. The awareness of all of your feelings and taking conscious action. This is Woden. Woden has mastered this. He has mastered his Kundalini. He has mastered his Shakti. That's why he, and he alone, carries the spear Gungnir, which means the swayer. It's the spinal column. Frey has his own mastery of Kundalini, but we'll talk about him another time. So what is the secret method of chanting the runes, you say? Well, I talk about this in my book. You can go to courses.thunderwizard.com. You can go to michaelwilliamdenny.com. You can just go onto Amazon and type in my name. Or you can type in the Thunder Wizard Path or something like that. My book should come up. I talk about the secret method. I teach it over and over again in the thunderwizard.com subscription channel. But I will teach it to you here. I also teach it on the free channel as well. But I'll teach it to you here. There is a method which I teach in the Huul breath, H-U-U-L breath, which is the base practice of the Thunder Wizard path. If you want to become a Thunder Wizard initiate, I can initiate you into my path right now. You don't have to do anything else except go and learn the Huul breath. It's a specific technique. When you chant Huul, when you chant that silently, and the breath has to come out so slowly that it comes out both the mouth and the nose at the same time. If you do it too fast, it'll only come out of the mouth. You can only get it to come out of the mouth and the nose at the same time when it's at a very low force. Then no sound comes out. What ends up happening when you do that, your third eye opens and you immediately go into trance. Immediately. If I were to do it, Immediately takes me into trance. I'm in a totally different headspace right now. Who needs THC? Just do the Hul breath. Now, you're doing the Hul breath, you are doing 3 runes. You are chanting Hagalaz, Uruj, and Laguj. So you use that same technique with any of the other runes. Fehu, Ansuj, Thurisaj, Raido, Kenaj. Any one of them, same thing. Do it in the same way. You will cut between the worlds. And this is where the runes have the most power, because the runes are not physical manifestation. They are the forces that create physical manifestation. Speech was originally a magical thing. There was a time when everything you spoke manifested in the universe. It's still true. We just don't experience it to the same level because we're just coming out of Kali Yuga. And we're in Dvapara Yuga right now. So, that's the secret method. Now you understand the real reason for chanting the runes is to obliterate your small self and tap into your full self. You can use the runes for all kinds of other things. I use them for divination. You can use them for magic. You can use them for whatever. I mean, the runes, in my experience, the runes are very flexible. If you're like me, you can't pick them up without having them do stuff to you. So I steer clear of them unless I absolutely need them. You're different than me, maybe. Maybe you're stronger than I am. Maybe you're more advanced than I am. I'm just telling you myself how it works with me. I don't really understand why. That's just the way it is. So, right now, I do have a special going on for rune certification and astrology certification. So, you see up here the links, astrologycertification.thunderwizard.com, runecertification.thunderwizard.com. You can go there to those. There should be a video on each one of those pages which will tell you the certification programs for that. 2for1.thunderwizard.com. Right now you get both of them for half price. So you get 2 for 1. The rune certification program is extensive. I mean, if you really want to get into the runes, and again, I don't go into fancy schmancy stuff, just the runes themselves. You can also learn Vedic astrology at the same time. Your understanding of runes will give you a deeper understanding of mantra, which I teach, how to find certain mantras in people's astrological charts. So subscribe, hit the bell button. It is my intention to make this channel the premier channel on YouTube for spiritual understanding. So I'm asking for you to put your intention towards that as well. Obviously do things like tell your friends and all that kind of stuff, but I'm more interested in your intentions. Put your intentions behind it for that. It's something else I want to say, but it fell out of my head. All right, so that's it for me. I'm going to say goodbye for this evening, and you will be seeing me soon. All right, talk to you soon.